All right, hello, welcome back. My name is Josh, and this is the Absolute Beginner Guitar Tutorial, Part 5. If you haven't done videos 1 through 4, um, well, this is kind of an assessment. So this is, I don't like to think of it as a quiz, I like to think of it as information. And what we're going to do is do a little chord workout. And I'm going to share my screen here. And if you could take a picture of that, just do like a little screenshot for yourself, maybe print it on your own or something like that, that would be fine. Um, this is all of the chords that we have learned. And what I've done is I've put them into 3 different little scenarios. And for those of you who have never read a chord chart, this is going to be your introduction to that. So here we go. I'm going to zoom right in and I'm going to just kind of talk about what it is you're looking at. So a lot of times guitar players read things that look like this. We don't have any words present. It doesn't look like there are any musical notes. It's just a letter, and then underneath it is a measure, and then there are these slashes. So let's talk about what that means. The letter by itself means to play a major chord, like E major, A major, D major. Then you'll see there's a B7 chord, okay? When you have a minus sign after the chord, that means that you play a minor chord. So this would be E minor, A minor, D minor, and then obviously there's this E7 here. The slashes tell you how many times it is strummed in the measure, but it also tells you really what the beats are in the measure. And so this right here is telling us there are 4 beats in the measure. How you strum those 4 beats in this particular scenario is kind of up to you. If you want to strum once, count to 4 and get to the next chord, then that's fine. It would be something like this. You'd be like E, 2, 3, 4 to A, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4, B7, 2, 3, 4 to G, 2, 3, 4 to C, 2, 3, 4 to F, 2, 3, 4 D7, 2, 3, 4 E minor, 2, 3, 4 A minor, 2, 3, 4 D minor, 2, 3, 4, and then E7, 2, 3, 4, and we're done. And that's one way to practice going through this. Very reasonable way to practice it, in fact. Another way to do it would be to strum all 4 times. You could just strum twice. There's a lot of things you could do. I'm going to play it again, and this time I'm going to strum all 4 times. Join me, either strumming once per measure, per chord, changing in time, or strum all 4 times with me, or some option in between that, which would be like twice or something like that. So let's try 4 strums. I'm just going to do down strums, and I'm going to keep it relatively slow. So here we go. Starting with the E chord. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4 to A, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4, B7, 2, 3, 4 to G, 2, 3, 4 to C, 2, 3, 4 to F, 2, 3, 4 D7, 2, 3, 4 to E minor, 2, 3, 4 A minor, 2, 3, 4 D minor, 2, 3, 4 E7, 2, 3, 4, and stop. All right, so if you were able to do that, fantastic. If you got some of it and you're like, oh, that chord, let's say you had trouble getting into B7, right? That gives you information. It says, okay, I could play E, A, and D, no problem. But when I got to B7, that was hard. That means you probably need to practice B7 a little bit. All right. If you played G, C, and F, no problem, and you had trouble getting to D7, that means you practice D7. All right. If you didn't remember how to play E minor, for example, then practice E minor. Not a big, that's what it's for. Let's take a look at number 2. All right. Now this set is the same chords. They're just in a different order. Now, when I set this up, I didn't set this up in any sort of musical sense. I just put the chords in an order. Sometimes it's an order that you probably wouldn't see these chords happen very often in music. The reason I put them in this scrambled order is because I want your hands to be able to change to any chord at any time that you want to, not just because it follows a particular pattern. All right, so let's start and try this one. We'll go through. I'll strum 4 times per chord. Ready, set, here we go. E, 2, 3, 4 to G, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 2, 3, 4 to A, 2, 3, 4 to C, 2, 3, 4, A minor, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4 to F, 2, 3, 4 D minor, 2, 3, 4 B7, 2, 3, 4 D7, 2, 3, 4 E7, 2, 3, 4, and stop. All right, very nice. Let's do it again. All right, 1, 2, E. Here we go. E, 2, 3, 4 to G, 2, 3, 4 E minor, 2, 3, 4 to A, 2, 3, 4 C, 2, A minor, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4 to F, 2, 3, 4 D minor, 2, 3, 4 B7, 2, 3, 4 D7, 2, 3, 4 and E7, 2, 3, 4 and stop. All right, very good work. If that had some challenges in it, if there were some tricky maneuvers in there, isolate them for yourself and then try it again. Let's look at number 3. All right, so this one, I actually put the chords in an order that makes some musical sense. The first 3 chords right here, E, A, and B7, if you were to make a circle out of these 3 chords, it would make some kind of sense. It would sound good musically. It'd be like, oh, I've heard something like that before. B7 also really goes to E minor nicely. So I went to E minor, and then I went A minor, D7 to G. And that's also a very common kind of chord move. All right. G, C to F is a very common chord move. C, F to D minor is a common chord move. D minor to D, not so much. D to E7 is a common chord move. And unfortunately, I don't end this in a way that makes it sound finished. We'll talk about how to do that in a second. Let's try it. Get your hand in E. 1, 2, 3, 4. To A. B7. E minor. A minor. D7. To G. To C. F. D minor. D. E7. And stop. All right, let's do it one more time. And I'm not going to shout out the chords. I'm just going to play them. All right, so this is for you. You can have your eyes on the page or on the screen and see if you can play these and keep your eye tracking with the chords. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and go. And that is all of those. If you were able to keep up with this, fantastic. If this was really easy for you and you're able to play all of these chords and do all these things, there are some other ways that you could use this same kind of sheet as a way to challenge yourself in other ways. Perhaps play everything as bar chords. Perhaps play everything as triads. Instead of doing full chords, you play everything as like triads. So you'd be like, I play an E, and then I'll play an A, and then I'll play a B7, like that kind of thing. And that you could have some fun with. Another thing you could do is you could record yourself playing the rhythm, and then you could improvise over the changes, playing different chords, different scales. If you are watching this and you've been playing for a long time, that's another step that you could do with this exact same sheet. All right. I know for me, sometimes I'll take something like this and I'll pop it into an app called iReal Pro, and I'll have it played like a swing beat or a rock beat or something, and then I'll improvise over it. And it'll give me information about what I know how to do well and what I don't. And here's the trick. What you don't do well, that's what you should probably practice. Because you already can change between certain chords fairly easily. Then it's the other ones that you need to practice a little bit harder. All right. Now, isolating chord moves is exactly that. Is that you isolate the move. You say, okay, if I'm having trouble switching between D and B7, then you isolate D to B7 and make that a priority for your hands so that it isn't confusing. Why do it this way? Well, when we're learning to play right from the start, I think it's important to treat these chords as vocabulary. They're not specific to a song. Certainly they are found in songs, and there are often found in songs in certain orders. However, when we're learning to play something, oftentimes we see it for the first time, it all just feels like it's just changing and it doesn't make any sense. Being able to look at a chord change and go, I know that chord, I know that chord, I know that chord, and being able to just change between them, regardless of the strumming pattern, regardless of how fast or slow the music's going, is empowering. It's an empowerment thing. And I want you to be able to do that on the guitar. So I took that common chord folk sheet that I started this entire tutorial with. I just took those chords. I went in rows, and then I went in columns, and then I put it in some kind of small musical order. All right. If this was useful to you, definitely like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. You may also find my newsletters useful on my website, joshhallmusic.com. All right. Until next time, have a good one.